if you don't like this C1 class because it's based on writing, ask them to give you an A1 and teach vocabulary and teach basic grammar, okay? But make sure it's communicative. Okay, they use a communicative approach, and now people in Europe with the Common European Framework that I see is what you use here. They're using the action, the functional approach. I have not discovered yet what's the difference between the communicative and the functional approach because it's very task-based. So we have talked about task-based for a long time, right? So I don't know if that's a new discovery. So how do we begin the process? We begin the process right here. Right here. Okay? There's where we begin the process. So, but what's the process? What's the process?
Steps for
Step by step. Where do we see process?
Right.
Where? In real life.
In everything we do.
Everything we do.
Yes, protocols.
How many of you know how to tie shoelaces? I see. 1, 2. Oops. I know that. Okay. How many of you know how to blow a bubble with gum?
Really
Little.
How many of you know how to do that? Okay. How do you do it?
No.
The bubble?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you chew the gum and then
Go ahead.
you put it like in front of your mouth and then you blow it.
Oh, that's too easy.
Yes.
Now tell me how do you do it from
You flatten it.
A to Z.
First you buy the chewing gum.
First you buy it. Very good. Take that. Then
You smell it.
then you smell it. Okay. Keep on
Then
going.
you enjoy it.
Keep on
Then you
going.
enjoy chewing
Then put it in your mouth and
for a while.
you chew
When
it
it's
for a
soft
while.
enough.
For a while.
Ah, when it's soft enough.
Yes.
Why? How come it's not soft at the beginning?
It has
Sugar? Because of the sugar. Okay, so when it's soft enough, what do you do?
well, what I do is flatten.
Okay?
Oh.
Okay?
Your teeth.
Do I take the right percent?
Yeah.
I flatten
Go ahead.
between my mouth and my palate.
Okay? Your hot palate?
Then I.
If you want to be that technical.
Okay, sorry.
Okay?
Put the flat dot. Looks like a dot.
Okay.
On the tip of your tongue.
How do you put it?
With the help of your
With the
teeth.
help of your tongue and tip, you send it to the front of your
Push it
tip,
towards
To the
it.
back of your
and so that it covers the tip of your tongue.
Okay.
teeth.
Then?
Then you cover the edge of it with your lips, and you make sure air can be blown
Okay.
to it.
Okay.
You start blowing,
Then you?
start blowing.
Something happened there. Okay. That's process. So, could you do this the first time you got a chewing gum in your mouth?
Takes practice.
When did you do it? Remember when you were 5? I can't. Frustrating. Exactly. It's frustrating. Teaching or learning how to write is really frustrating at times. Okay? Writing happens with practice. It's not the first time that you tell them, okay, I want you to write an essay about your vacation or about your weekend and that's it. No. Writing is a process. It takes planning, it takes writing, it takes revising, and it also takes publishing. It takes time. And just the planning takes time. Because when you're planning and wants to start writing, you can have what we call writer's block. You just don't know what to write about. Okay? And that happens to new writers and that happens to experienced writers. Okay? So how do we begin the process? So the process begins by accepting that writing takes time. Okay? How do we begin the process with students? So we go here and we as teachers think, do I want the product or I want the process? What is the most important part here?
The process.
The process. So, if we think that the process is the most important part, so we're going to teach it step by step. And step by step means that we're going to do a guided process. And step by step means that we're going to have multiple drafts. How many drafts can we have? 2, 3. How many students do you get?
20, 25, 12.
20.
9.
We're going to take 12. We're going to take 12. We're not going to think we get 25. Okay, we take 12. And we're asking our students to write a 2-page paper. So, we have 12 papers times 2, 24 pages to read. And we want to give them 3 drafts.
72.
How many pages do we have to read? 72. Do we want to read 72 pages? No, we don't want to read 72 pages, but we have to read 72 pages because we're teaching writing. Okay? The students go like, 2 pages. You go, yeah, 2 pages times 12 times 3. That is what I'm going to read. But you're going to write just 6 pages, and not 6 pages because when they receive it, they will hit it. How many students are going to fail writing? How many students are going to fail writing?
None.
How many students are going to fail writing? None. Because it's a guided process. Okay? First draft, macro issues. We're going to get to those ones. Second draft, macro issues and micro issues. Third draft, 100%. Maybe not 100%, right? But they're not going to fail the class because it's a process. And when we have a process, we get to those competence, okay, based syllabus we got. Because we're teaching them how to go little by little. So this is process, okay? We might not like it, but process also takes your time. Process also takes preparation, and process also takes a lot of reading. That's why I was asking, how many of you like to read? Because we like reading fiction. We might not like reading those hard to read essays we get from students, okay, from students. So this is the guided process. How do we teach this? We teach the essay as a whole. We don't teach sentence. We don't teach paragraph. We teach the essay. How come we don't teach that? Because our A1 teachers, A2 teachers, B1 teachers already did the job. They are the ones who taught the sentence. They are the ones who taught the paragraph. We have to teach the essay. The essay. They come to our classes already knowing what a simple sentence is and what happens when we add and, however, nevertheless. They already did the job. That's why I'm saying this. Okay? Because we're a team. Whatever they do in the previous classes will benefit the students when they become advanced. And then we're teaching here, and we go to the guided process, and we teach the writing as a whole. Some people don't like to talk about the 5-paragraph essay. How many of you teach the 5-paragraph essay? Good, I like you. When I was teaching in the States, I remember one of the professors saying that the 5-paragraph essay was really archaic. Old, 15, 20 years ago. And I went like, but we still do that in our ESL, EFL, especially EFL environments. It's really easy to teach the 5-paragraph essay, especially if you're preparing the student to go take the TOEFL. Because when they take the TOEFL, they just get 30 minutes. And they have to show, they have an introduction, 3 paragraphs, and a conclusion. Okay? They have an idea of organization. Because essays are organized. Because it have to be organized. So, we have to teach in the guided process, we have to teach them that essays have an introduction, a development, and a conclusion. But it's not just that. It's not just that. We have to go over the macro issues. Okay, the macro issues is the organization. And in the macro issues, we also teach about APA and MLA. Do you know what that is? What's APA? Okay? APA is a style. APA is a style. And writing has conventions. Okay? APA says that it has to be indented. What is indentation? We leave 5 spaces. Okay? If we're writing by hand. Typing, just hit the key there. That 2-arrow key, and then you go. Okay? We have to teach them in the macro issues that that also we have margins. APA and MLA also. This margin, what is this margin? Left margin is not justified. Right margin is justified, or this one is justified, this one is not justified. We teach them that we have to use Times New Roman, that it has to be size 12, that it has to be double spaced, okay? And if we're using sources, we have to cite the sources, because I did not discover the Egyptian pyramids. Somebody else did. Okay? I did not discover your Aztec pyramids. Somebody else did, and I have to cite the source. What happens if I don't cite the source and I take it as my own? That's called plagiarism. And I don't know, in Mexico and Honduras it doesn't happen, but in other countries you can go to jail. You can be kicked out of the university if you commit plagiarism, okay? Because you have to give the owner of the thoughts the credit, okay, the credit. Okay, so that goes in the macro issues. When we talk about conventions, then we go to the introduction. What do we have in the introduction? We have the main topic. How do we call the main topic? Let's see. I asked the same question yesterday. Another name for the main topic? Main idea? Big picture? What else?
Is it a thesis statement?
It's the thesis statement. It's the thesis statement. And if we're prepared students to go to universities abroad, we have to tell them that that is called a thesis statement, because their professors there will tell them that they're missing a thesis statement, and the students will go like, what is a thesis statement? Okay? So, we have a thesis statement. What else do we have? What else do we have in the introduction?
So there's a rhetorical question?
Sometimes a rhetorical question, and the rhetorical question could be the thesis statement. Okay? What else do we have?
Reason for writing.
A quote?
The reason for writing? Okay. With all the features, we can use a quote. Why would you use a quote?
Why?
Attract the attention.
Because,
Okay? To catch like the attention, like the hook.
Towards the-
Okay?
because in some cases that phrase inspires
Support.
you to develop the whole essay.
Okay? What else?
To support their ideas.
Okay. So when we have in the introduction, we can have a quote. We can have an idea that will give the general picture of the whole essay. Kind of like an introductory phrase or sentence. You don't have to describe everything in the introduction. Otherwise, you have the whole essay there. So if you're talking about mountains, you talk about, the importance of mountains, but you don't describe it as a whole. But you introduce it so you can catch the attention, and you're giving an idea of what's happening. Then you have your thesis statement. Some people have it at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, but you need to have a thesis there, okay? And then we have the supporting points. When you are with first writers, okay, you have, I teach them to announce what you're going to say. Some people really don't like this. But as they gain practice, they will learn not to do that. But I tell them, okay, announce what you're doing. So, in this paper, I am going to talk about this and this and this. That's announcing what is going to happen. But that allows them to have an outline, a mental outline. Okay, a mental outline. If we have taught them the 5-paragraph essay, so we have here, first paragraph, first supporting sentence, second paragraph, second supporting sentence, third paragraph, the third supporting sentence, okay? But once they have got out of those 5-paragraph essays, we have to teach them that the first idea It's going to be developed in 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, depending on how many pages you're asking for, and so on. And then at the end, we're not telling them write a 5-paragraph essay. We're telling them write a 2-page essay, write a 3-page essay, write a 20-page essay. My students at UPN wrote a 20-page analytical essay, analysis essay. I gave them the description at the beginning, and they had it as a final paper at the end. They were just great. You know, but when they got to that paper, they had already written other papers. Okay, so we give them, we take them little by little. It's not that we're getting them and we kill them at the beginning. No, we take them, that's why it's a process. It's a process telling them how to write the essay, but it's a process telling them the different types of essays they can write. That's why, you know, we have different genres. So that's the macro issues. We teach them that. What are the micro issues?
The language itself, how it's used.
Commas,
Grammar.
periods,
Style.
you know, those ones are the macro issues. So look at what we do. This is what we take care of first. Then we go to commas, we go to the word choice, but we don't mark the errors. Because if we mark the errors, they will go home and they will delete the word. They will erase the whole sentence. We ask them questions. Because writing is also to develop critical thinking. To develop critical thinking. If we're just teaching writing for the sake of teaching writing, we're not doing anything. We're developing independence. We want autonomous students. Students who will not come to you every time they have an essay to write. Students who will be able to go and ask somebody else, how do you do this? How can I do this? Can you read this paper for me? Students don't like when other students read papers for them. Or when we do the peer feedback. How many of you do peer feedback? Do peer feedback, you know, and after you do peer feedback, ask students how they felt. And also like, I hate when my classmates read my papers. I don't like having comments from my classmates. I don't like this, they're not my teacher, and they don't like that. But it's because they're not used to that. But outside, in the labor market, somebody's going to tell you, you did not do this right, do it again. But if we get used to peer feedback, our classmates will learn to do it in a nice way. What else do we learn about peer feedback? I see the same mistakes I make in somebody else's way. Because es más fácil ver la viga,
No, la paja.
la paja, en el ojo ajeno que la viga en el tuyo. It happens that way. Okay? So, and then you go, okay, so you didn't like it, but you learn anything? Yeah. See, he makes the same mistake I made, but I never see it in my paper. You know, but I saw it and now I'm going to correct it. That's the purpose of peer feedback. It's not to make their life impossible. It's not to make them hate each other. Okay, so you have to explain, you know, the purpose of the activity. And then you can do it again. That can be also to make it easy on you. Because that is gonna that can help you. How do I go back?
You know, it will.
See, I'm already at the end.
I just go back on the same. On the same slide.
Okay, so we go over the macro issues there. So, how do we begin this then? You know, we need to find out, you know, where in this development they are at. And sometimes, you know, we as teachers give them assignments and we tell them, okay, write about your friend. Write about vacation, write about Christmas, write about something you like. Yeah, let's write about something they like. But what happens next? We just take the paper and check on the corner. Second paper, another check. And they get 10%. How come teachers are not reading papers? It might be. The reason might be that teachers don't know how to write. And teachers don't know what comments they need to give, okay? That means that we need to reinvent ourselves. We need to work on those kind of things. So, what do? We give them a diagnostic essay. Why do you give, how come you give diagnostic exams at the beginning of your courses? Do you give diagnostic exams? No?
Or
Oral diagnostic evaluations? Why do we give diagnostic evaluations? What are the main purposes of this type of diagnostic
To
evaluation?
know the level of the room.
Exactly. To know what type of students you're getting. What do you do after you've done this? You bring the syllabus the first day and you give them a diagnostic exam. And then you get the evaluations. What do you do after that?
We classify them. I mean, we know whose needs are greater than others, who's a little behind than the rest.
Do
of
you
the
change your
group.
syllabus?
Sorry?
Do you change the syllabus?
I modify it.
You modify the syllabus.
Yeah, I
Good
do.
teacher. Very good. Otherwise, the diagnostic essay doesn't have any value. Okay? The main purpose of the diagnostic essay is to see what type of students you're receiving and what need they, and what is that they need. And you fix it. And instead of talking about about the teacher they had before, you just fill in the gap. That's your job. You're getting paid to teach. You're getting paid to teach, not to be on the cell phones. Okay? So what you do is that you teach, and sometimes we use Google to teach, because we don't plan our classes. Okay? So we do this, and how do we do it? With this diagnostic essay, I know how many of our students went through the 5-paragraph essay, and if you get those ones, piece of cake. That's a beautiful class. You're not going to have much of a problem. But if they don't know how to do that organization, you have to begin from that organization. And you teach them. I'm not saying to teach a 5-paragraph essay at that level, but you will